So it was Independence Day the other day. By the time this goes out of the weekend, it was a little while ago, and I hope you had a nice time. If you're American, enjoy your day of treachery. The sort of nationalist in me does want me to be contemptuous, but also...
I kind of find it cringe.
Really?
Yeah.
Poor Americans. No, don't say that.
No, not 4th of July. I find British people sitting around being like, whatever, Treason Day. I kind of hate that. I
just let them have their holiday, yeah.
No, because it comes off as bitter and you want them back. I much prefer Al Murray's approach of, they see it as a success. We see it as a lucky effing escape.
Well, I'm of the opinion that you did it to avoid paying tax, which I wholeheartedly approve of. So, well done. I wish we did the same. And also, you avoided Mad King George, who was on the throne at the time. So I'd say that's a win-win. I mean, your taxes aren't great now, but neither are ours, so we can't judge. So I say I'm in favour of Independence Day because anyone who does anything to avoid tax is a friend of mine. If this ever gets shown in court...
Sorry, you and the Taliban, you got a friend in me.
If this is ever shown in court, that was a joke. If not, it wasn't.
All right.
But anyway, here we have President Biden... with a very strange message on Independence Day. It says, Happy 4th of July, Happy 4th, America. It's like when... Yeah, it's like when at Christmas time people say, oh, Happy Holidays.
Happy 4th.
Yeah, what's the holiday exactly? Oh, it's Christmas time. Okay, right. Speak like a normal person. I feel like that's this here. It's like, yeah, it's Independence Day, Joe. You should be celebrating your independence. I mean, you've got, self-governance, fighting tyrants, controlling your own tax. I mean, these are all good things, right? I think they're good things. You're making quite the face.
I don't think he's going to endorse that message.
No, of course not. And I think it's a very deliberate choice here that Joe Biden has avoided mentioning independence because, of course...
the reason for rising up against...
Yeah, tyrants. Which, funnily enough, some of it was pointed out. Like this next tweet. Here we have the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire, which I really quite enjoy, who said, if George Washington were alive, he would shoot Joe Biden in the face. This is, of course, a real political party, and also one that I approve of.
I mean, they're not factually wrong.
I mean, yes.
Founding fathers, by modern-day standards of the American government, are a bunch of terrorists.
Yeah,
the 3%ers are listed as a terrorist group in the United States.
I feel like if George Washington were about today, he would be, in some sort of rural area with a militia.
Yeah.
With lots and lots of firearms.
I mean, they would all be seen as utter extremists who are trying to overthrow the government.
But no, they're some of the best men that America has seen, I think.
Yeah, obviously.
This is, I'm going to get my passport revoked at the end of recording this, by the way, by the Home Office for treason to my own country. But yeah, I do think quite highly of America, I'm afraid.
Oi, what's all this then? You've been saying good words about America, have you? Yeah.
So it's also worth mentioning this one as well. Happy Secession Day, Tyrant. This is the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus. I think he got dogpiled by loads of libertarians. I don't really know why them in particular attacked Joe Biden. You'd think Republicans as well would join in, but I thought the best ones were from these personally. But that's probably because that's of my persuasion. But I have talked about America before and why it's the dominant country in the world in Contemplations, my weekly series. And this one was titled How America Became the Most Powerful Country, where I talk with Bo about the history of how America went from being one of the most powerful to the most powerful country, overtaking the British Empire. And although there is a touch of bitterness at the death of the British Empire at the hands of American foreign interests, that is sort of at the hands of a few American elites. And it's not fair to be annoyed at the American people who treat us quite friendly. Friendly, that's not a word, is it? Nicely, whatever. English. I mean, we invented it. We can speak it how we want. So moving on to this next one here, we have Ben and Jerry's, who apparently hate America almost as much as Joe Biden. And
I haven't eaten Ben and Jerry's in so long, and it was just because of this.
I know.
If they stopped being leftists and just were like, we make ice cream. If you like it, buy it. I'd probably buy it. I quite like the product, but it's just, no.
I am a Haagen-Dazs supremacist.
Really?
I like ice cream that doesn't try and moralize to me.
Yeah. I mean, I just like ice cream with bits in it. But, when the bits
Hopefully
in it also
edible
come
bits.
with, you like communism? It's like, just go away.
You don't want communism with your ice cream? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But yes, they went on quite a spree. And it says, the US was founded on stolen indigenous land. This July 4, I also really dislike that that sort of dating convention. July 4.
To be fair, that's just an American thing.
I know. The 4th of July. The 4th day of July, not July 4. Like 4 what? Sorry.
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Really? Not Nashville, I don't know, Yorkshire. Like,
to be fair, some of them do make sense because there are lots of sort of English town names that are in America. Like you have Birmingham, Alabama. And if someone American said, "Oh, I was in Birmingham the other day," I would presume, "Oh, you poor soul, you're surrounded by a bunch of Brummies." Or, well, not anymore. Bunch of other people. But
you visited Pakistan, did you? Oh, very good. bloody. Sorry, but I actually do kind of love that. Like the swearing convention of Indians and Pakistanis when they take on English.
They do adopt quite outdated swearing, don't they?
But it's not even English. Like, it's not even Old English swearing. It's you've taken some of the words and then the grammar's all wrong.
I think it's got a certain charm to it.
Yeah.
It makes me weirdly warm up to them when I hear them swearing.
Yeah.
Which, I don't approve of swearing more generally. I think it's a bit uncouth and unnecessary, but don't judge me.
Your mother. Bleep that.
Joke's on you, Callum. You're editing these, so you're going to have to bleep yourself.
Fine, we'll have some fun then. All right, let's talk about this, shall we? Nonsense.
Oi, stop it. Derailing everything. But it carries on to say, the 4th of July, who doesn't love a good parade, some tasty barbecue, a stirring fireworks display? The only problem is that, though, it can distract from an essential truth about this nation's birth. The US was founded on stolen indigenous land. Did you know this, Callum? The land was stolen.
From who?
Yeah, from who? Well.
Literally how?
This year, let's commit to returning it. Here's why we need to start with Mount Rushmore. Well, but
I can't even.
What's the point in giving back Mount Rushmore? Because,
giving it back.
Mountains are not known necessarily for being that habitual. I know every Swiss person in the audience is about to get their pitchforks out. But yeah, I don't think if they actually did want land, it probably would be that. No. Also, the whole premise of it is nonsense, right? Which, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not even going to engage because the whole thing is just stupid.
Yeah.
Who should we give it to? Literally name them. Name the guy who owned the mountain before we got there. Oh, no, it was a group of people that owned it. Well, are they still around? Well, not really. It's been, a few hundred years.
I mean,
and they're all American citizens. Okay, well, then they own it because they're Americans. So shut up.
So you mean people who are indigenous have a right to the land that they're born in? Well,
guess what? Where are the Americans from?
So does that mean we've got to just take back all of America? Just like all of these Americans that have ties to the UK? Just, you have to come back. I'm sorry.
No, I'm so sick of the idea that the Americans aren't indigenous. Of course they are. Have you seen them? They're not from England.
Yeah, I think after enough time passes, I think you can have a claim to the land to a certain extent, which is why I'm so frustrated about mass immigration in Britain.
Yeah.
So it goes on to talk about a bunch of rather twisted history. So it's talking about how these places in America, they used to belong to places. They used to have different names. Oh, isn't it so sad? And yes, they're just trying to subvert Independence Day and make it a sort of leftist day of protest, because surely you would think that, overthrowing a monarch, becoming your own self-governing independent country, which led you to becoming one of the most powerful countries in the world, that would be a pretty good thing to celebrate, right? Like you have material prosperity. People don't have to live in poverty anymore. These are all good things, right?
Well, if you're a cuckold.
Yeah, well, if you hate yourself and therefore you extend that to hating your country as...
And you want to see someone destroy it.
Then you're going to do stuff like this. And yes, obviously, leftists don't seem to like America for very bizarre personal reasons, I think. But on the topic of Native Americans receiving land, I wanted to turn to this next image, which is this one. from Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, did somebody's ancestors not do very well at war? And I mean, this is the point that, yeah, might makes right. If you conquer someone, yeah, you can kind of do what you want. That's how all of history's worked for all of time.
It still
Stop
does.
whinging.
It is a delusion of the modern day where we're like, no, international norms and law. It's like, no, really.
This
really
is still how
is.
things operate, yes.
Like, there's a guy who does geopolitical videos I really like, and he did one on Israel-Palestine. I don't have a strong opinion. And he was like, no, I utterly agree with the Palestinians because of blah, 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 blah. Here they have all the moral right and blah, 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 blah. He made his argument. And then he went, and that's why I side with the Israelis. Because they actually have any power. Because ultimately, if you're able to enforce your rule, even though this guy is like, yeah, of course the Palestinians are morally right, but I don't care. Because reality is the
interesting fellow.
Yeah, I mean, but his I still didn't come out of it on either side of that debate, but I did come out of it going, well, he's kind of right. In the sense that if you are able to enforce your claim, you win. That's it. That's really all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, we've known this since the Melian dialogues in ancient Greece, so it's not like some sort of revelation. This has been known to humanity for all of human history. It's just that some weirdo bureaucrats are just like, no, it's only your or mine land.
No,
if this piece of paper
norms.
Says so. Oh.
So who made up the international norms? Oh, right, the global superpower that tells us what to do. Okay, well then.
Yeah,
we've got free will because the boss says so. I mean,
it is basically like that, isn't it? But yeah, I'm not going to read through this weird fan fiction from Ben and Jerry's because I value your sanity at home. And yes, I'm not going to put you through it. I mean, they've already got their casinos, all right. They don't need much more, right? The casino's fun, right? Do you like gambling? I do. I make money doing it. Not very often.
You look kind of addicted then. You like gambling? Yeah, I do. Let's go.
You want to go to the casino? Never mind these segments. Let's just go there.
Do you want to just play poker? Should we just do a poker stream?
All right, yeah.
Actually, that does sound like good.
I quite like blackjack as well because you actually stand a chance of winning if you like play well.
What?
Poker. What do you mean, what?
Poker's way better.
It's fun because you can bluff your way to being good and it makes you feel like a legend.
We're not playing against the house. What the fuck are we doing? We've got a segment to be done.
Yeah, we're not just having a conversation. We do actually have news to tell you. But yes, obviously Ben and Jerry's insane. And of course, this led to this. Ben and Jerry's customers call for boycott after woke ice cream makers' July 4th message demanding the US return stolen indigenous land, starting with Mount Rushmore to the Lakota. Yes, believe it or not, most Americans probably are not keen on the idea of losing their property to give it to people who they have no connection to whatsoever. I mean, these people were not the pioneers, were they? They weren't the ones that were going across the country. They are descendants, and people are not guilty of their ancestors' crimes. We've said this many times, that people are guilty for their own crimes. And this seems to be a controversial opinion for some bizarre reason. I don't really understand why. But there we go. Yeah, apparently blood guilt is policy at Ben and Jerry's. That is what flows through their veins. So it wasn't just Ben and Jerry's that were trying to subvert things as well. The Associated Press as well tried to lead the charge in being leftist weirdos, really. And here we have an article from them titled, "In a polarized US, how to define a patriot increasingly depends on who's being asked." And can you guess the date of this article coming out? On a very patriotic day.
4th of July.
Wow, how did you guess? Yes, of course. So this is deeply subversive. It's an article written by Gary Fields, Marjorie Beck, and Rebecca Boone, or Booney, I don't know. Also the name of one of the pioneers, I think, as well, or one of the first colonizers, if you're using their language. So I don't know whether that's a tongue-in-cheek pseudonym or what. But it starts with millions of Americans will attend parades, fireworks, and Independence Day events on Tuesday, celebrating the courage of the nation's 18th century patriots who fought for independence from Great Britain and what they considered an unjust government. So what is AP coming out as...
This is a British sympathiser here.
I'm a little bit surprised, just like, yes, the Crown. We've always been loyal to the Crown at the Associated Press.
Just pay your tax.
And it carries on. Those events will also honour the military and those who sacrificed, who sacrificed in other conflicts that helped preserve the nation's freedom over its 247-year history. Right, so far, only a weird turn of phrase there that makes them sound like British Empire loyalists for some reason, but that's not that subversive yet, right? Well, it goes on to go, that is only one version of a patriot. Today, the word and its variants have morphed beyond the original meaning. It has become infused in political rhetoric and school curriculums and varying definitions while being appropriated by white nationalist groups. Trying to define what a patriot is depends on who's being asked. Ask the rest of the world what a patriot is, and most people will say someone who's proud of their country, proud of the sacrifices of the people who have made it what it is today. I don't think that's controversial. I think that it is pretty much the blanket definition the world over, even in Britain, really. I mean, if someone's described as patriotic, they might be seen as, flying a flag in their garden, or, singing the national anthem, or representing their country. That sort of thing, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be insidious. But the article goes on. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's quite a long and unhinged article that starts to just read like a leftist blog post, not from supposedly an esteemed media outlet, but it mentions that the founding fathers were slave owners, which doesn't really seem that relevant to this. It quotes someone that claims that white patriots are thinking of other white people when they talk about Americans. And I don't even think that is true. I mean, America is still majority white for the time being. And I imagine that, they might think of mostly white people because it is mostly a white country.
The people who did the revolution were white. Therefore, if you like this, you're a white supremacist. Is that actually what they're going for?
Something akin to that. I wouldn't say it's directly what they're going for. I think they're being a bit wily. They're kind of making loose associations, but some
Whereas
of it
the
is
British
quite
Empire
stark.
was diverse and inclusive.
Yeah, the British Empire had all sorts of people helping prop it up, whereas America is evil and white. Or no, it's not arguing that, but it's saying that basically when white people are saying they're patriotic, they're just saying they're only patriotic to white people, which I don't think is true, because if you talk to American patriots, normally they'll say, America is great because people come here to start a new life and they can succeed. They bring up the meritocratic thing. They don't say America is great because white people can succeed. I don't hear many people saying that. It's difficult to tell when, they're wearing those white hoods sometimes. But there we go. So they also link patriotism with the far right and extremism. And they link that far right and extremism to, believe it or not, the KKK, Timothy McVeigh, white nationalists and conspiracy theorists, which I think is ceding a lot of ground of the word patriot.
What's it got to do with July 4th?
I know, yeah. It's just an excuse to be like, yes, we're just going to have a go at people who like America on the 4th of July. And have a very extensive article doing it as well, which gets in all of the smears, all of the cheap shots, all in one place, just to be a nice, horrible web of lies, basically. But to even less sane areas of American culture, here we have Nicole Hannah-Jones, of course, the founder of the 1619 Project, doing her usual insane thing, saying, you can't understand 1776 if you don't understand 1619. July 4th, 1776, when the colonists declared independence of the population of the 13 colonies was enslaved. I'm reading this verbatim. They would not gain freedom for a century. This too is the 4th of July. This too is the story of America. The notion that America started in 1619 is a little bit egocentric, one might say. Because, of course...
insane.
Yeah. Of course, before 1776, it was the British Empire. So...
well, not even that. It was a company-run project.
Yeah.
It's not even owned by the state. It was literally owned by a company.
Mm-hmm. And so the notion that America started, this notion which wouldn't exist for over 100 years in the future from 1619, just like, yeah, well, black people, they secretly created America. Like all these enslaved people, they conspired amongst themselves somehow. They created America. I don't really understand the argument. It's just adding undue significance to slavery, in my opinion, and it's obviously very subversive. It's trying to disrupt the national ethos of America and their founding fathers and that sort of thing, and supplant it with slavery, making slavery the central thing. And obviously, this is a very insidious sleight of hand, because then it frames all of American culture around the slavery question, which isn't necessarily productive.
I thought there were more things. You know, when you go on holiday to America to find American culture, you don't usually spend all your time at slave plantations.
No, I didn't. I mean, if anything, I didn't go to enough. But
how many?
I didn't actually go to any. I went to New England.
You're missing out, man. You're missing out.
I went along the East Coast, so I didn't get to those sorts of places. A lot of New England, sort of
this
Boston.
might get me cancelled. All right. Don't want to say this? Yeah, why not? So you know you get old-timey villages where people live like it's the Wild West.
In America?
Yeah. You know, you go along and everyone pretends it's 1850. Same thing.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
What? Under what
do you
sort
reckon
of
you could do that although we get shut down?
What if it were like...
just to explain to people, this is how it actually worked, this is how people lived, and it's a show. It's
okay.
But it's like one of those villages.
Oh, like I went to a place in Spain where they filmed the sort of Ennio Morricone. Did he? But anyway, the spaghetti westerns with Clint Eastwood. They filmed them there, and they had like a near functional Wild West town where they had like actors doing gunfights and a working bar and stuff like that, and it was great. I feel like it wouldn't be quite as fun as going to.
There's not as much joy. Plus, I feel like any of the black kids visiting might feel a bit weirded out. They're not going in the big house. But
what would happen if you're queuing up to get into the place? Here's the white line. Here's your whip. Here's the black line. Here's your chains. Just like I feel like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you could do it in a tasteful way.
Because I feel like if you break the immersion of it.
I don't know where I was going with this.
There's no.
I'm just saying.
I don't think there's any good way of doing it, which is probably why it's not been done, Callum.
I'll come up with a business plan.
You're in like a speed run to be cancelled at the minute, aren't you?
God,
but anyway,
imagine though. Just imagine the adverts just on TV. Come on down to the Candyland. What is this? Is this some kind of slavery? No, it's just a Django Unchained themed park.
I imagine it would be so controversial that it would probably get good press in a sense of it's going to get press, not that it's going to be well received.
I don't think any out there's going to be like, well, I had a lovely time. Mr. Candy is a gentleman and a scholar. Sorry,
for goodness sake.
Bad at not derailing things.
So there's another thing that I wanted to point out as well. And if you scroll up a little bit, John, to show what she's replying to, this was Crayon Muncher stuff. All credible historians have said that the 1619 project is a rewriting of history. I mean, yes. A sane person. I don't know who Joshua James is. He's got a good first name, though. But he makes good points. And this is like a 12-year-old, just like, well, technically, historians rewrite history as a profession.
Nope.
Literally what historians do. Nope. No, they don't.
No.
I would love to show you.
Point being an historian, you don't write the history, do you? You find out what happened and write it down.
It's amazing how Tolkien was able to document all of those historic events. I mean, I can't believe that there were trolls and elves and orcs and all these things. I never would have guessed. No, you're not writing it. You're trying to represent it as accurately as possible, which apparently this response just shows that there's not a lot going on in that head, is there?
Yeah.
There's a couple of tumbleweeds and a lot of air going on. And moving on to this one, Joe Biden. That's weird. The thumbnail and the title don't match together. Not enough fireworks for one holiday. Joe Biden and Jill invite recovering drug addict Hunter Biden and family onto the Truman balcony to watch July 4th celebrations 2 days after cocaine was found in the West Wing. And part of me thinks that Hunter Biden wasn't there to celebrate the festivities, but he was thinking, where's all that cocaine? Maybe I can find some more. You know how if you ever take a dog for a walk and it finds some food in like a random bush, like some sandwich crusts, and then you walk past that bush again, And the dog will search there again, not understanding that, the sandwich crusts don't grow on the bush. It was just a one-off, but they'll look every time for years and years. That's this. It's just like, there was cocaine. I'm going to look here every time now. I'm going to come to the White House all the time. I feel like that's exactly that. And I refuse to acknowledge any other interpretation. You look credulous. Don't be. It is obviously the truth.
You're probably right, but the logic doesn't make sense.
And on slightly darker news, I suppose, there was this horrific case of a shooting where several people died. There was also another shooting, but I don't really want to go over lots of shootings because it is unpleasant. But here we have an article from the Daily Mail titled "Cross-Dressing Gunman Behind July 4th Philly Bloodbath That Left 5 Dead is Black Lives Matter Supporter Who Made Chilling Facebook Posts About Black Massacres and Evil Spirits." Evil spirits.
Nonsense ideology will have consequences.
Kim Brady, Carricker 40, shot dead 4 men and a 15-year-old boy in a King Sessing neighborhood on the eve of 4th of July. So yes, obviously tragedy. But this I bring up because, of course, we've had both right-wingers and left-wingers shooting people.
Yep, everyone's got their shooter.
Yes, but this one was slightly curious because in the title it says Black Lives Matter supporter, cross-dresser. You feel like, well, that's got to be a leftist, right? Those two things, those are pretty exclusive to the left. Well, this one seems a bit more complicated, and it makes me think that perhaps the person was a little bit confused because they're both cross-dressing and a Black Lives Matter supporter. But then we'll look at some of the posts that they put on social media, which the Daily Mail have included down below. If you go back again, John, and scroll down, this is horrifying, by the way, cursed image. This is a perfectly normal person here, of course. But if you scroll down to some of the things they posted, here they have something celebrating something firearms related. I can't really tell what it is, but there we go. I mean, unsurprising that a gunman likes guns.
The unmistakable body of an AK-47.
Well, I'm not necessarily a gunman.
You don't know
I
that
get the
meme, do you?
impression. No.
Yeah.
Is it a journo getting it?
Yeah, he went to
wrong?
a gun show and it was an M16. And he goes, the unmistakable body of an AK-47.
How can you not know what an M16 is?
I don't know.
What an idiot.
Every gun is an AK-47.
If you scroll down again, John, here we have a pro-meat eating post. Not necessarily very leftist. And then you scroll down again.
Wasps? What?
Trump 45, because the 46 is made in China. So you've got a jingoistic pro-gun and Trump t-shirt, which is a bit weird. And then how to catch...
anti-pedophilia posts?
Yes.
Okay.
And scroll down again. You know that... what? No. Know this, we are many, they are few. To fear death is a choice, and they can't hang us all. This sounds like something that people from sort of my neck of the political woods would say, sort of libertarian.
Libertarian shit, yeah.
Yeah. And if you scroll down again, the First Amendment defines us. A bit more, John. The Second Amendment defends us. So this is quite confusing, isn't it, really?
This person seemed to have not known what they were talking about.
Yeah.
So if they're mixing BLM with libertarian rightists...
Mm-hmm. Because although the actions that they've taken obviously make it a bit awkward to say this, but I mean, lots of the sentiments here...
American Patriot does mass shooting at the 4th of July against innocent civilians is not something that makes sense.
No. So I just wanted to draw people's attention to this because it's a bit more complicated. It's not neat, oh, this is left, this is right. This is probably a crazy person. Probably would be reported on, as it has been in the Daily Mail, as this is clearly a left-winger. But I think it's clearly a confused crazy person, I think that's safe to say, because they don't seem to have a coherent ideology. I mean, you don't get many right-wing cross-dressers these days, do you? And then finally, there was this one. July 4th horror, 2 people are dead and more than a dozen injured after 4 firework displays end in disaster with children seen fleeing after errant rocket flew at onlookers. And of course, where are fireworks made mostly, Callum? China. Communist China. It's the communists subverting 4th of July. Not really, of course. This is obviously another tragedy, and I thought I would just mention it, that it's a shame. And it seems like this 4th of July has been a rather spoilt one for Americans, and I feel kind of rather sorry for them. I hope you have had a nice time minding your own business. You've not fallen afoul of shooters or fireworks or annoying leftists or Ben and Jerry's, which, falls under the previous category. And I thought it would be worthwhile to point out that, yes, these people, mostly the ones explicitly saying so, hate your country. And that is very, very clear because, of course, Independence Day should be something that is universal, both left and right, to celebrate because it is overthrowing tyrants. And I thought both sides are against tyranny, right? It's funny that the left is just like, no, actually, tyranny is good. I want more tyranny. Independence Day, who cares about it? I want to be part of the British Empire for some reason, according to the Associated Press. But yes, I hope you had a nice time. And don't rag on your own country. Enjoy yourself. Don't be boring. And have a good weekend.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Symposium series, this episode on Hume, on Reason and Justice. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.